Good afternoon, and welcome to Business Solution Partners' first webinar presentation of the 2021 season, featuring our newest partner, FloQast. Today, we're speaking about how your finance team can streamline the period end close process. Before we begin, I'd like to take just a few minutes to introduce today's webinar team and go over some housekeeping notes. This webinar is brought to you by Business Solution Partners. BSP has a 30-year history of providing high-level financial and operational consulting and technology-based solutions to mid-market and enterprise companies in all 50 states. We are an Oracle NetSuite 5-star solution provider partner, a Workday Gold partner, a HubSpot Gold partner, and represent a wide variety of software and process solutions supported by training to ensure that your company succeeds in the modern business environment. We're a global software consultancy with a local presence in your backyard. From our humble beginnings with a single office in New York, we've expanded our footprint across the US to include 4 offices in California, as well as locations in Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, Minnesota, Montana, New Jersey, Nevada, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and we're growing every day. We move business forward with the tech stack designed for growth. Our certified consultants and professional service providers support mid-market and enterprise companies with software strategies, implementations, integrations, custom development, training, and support. We work with Oracle NetSuite in conjunction with Workday Adaptive Planning and HubSpot to help companies transform their approach to market. And every SaaS product that we represent, including FloQast today, plays really well in the sandbox with NetSuite. I'm really excited to introduce you to one of those solutions today in FloQast. We here at BSP love sharing our educational and informative content with our growing audience, and I personally encourage you to check out our YouTube channel and LinkedIn page. Be sure to like and subscribe to receive regular updates, including access to our white papers, webinars, blog posts, and so much more. We've made it really easy by providing with some custom links there. So you can just go to our website at bspny.com/YouTube or /LinkedIn. And that'll take you directly to our social pages. And just a reminder, a copy of today's webinar will be made available on YouTube after we've had a chance to review it and edit it. My name is Craig Cook. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Business Solution Partners, and our thought leader today is FloQast's Senior Channel Manager, Thomas Grigley. I'll also give a quick shout out to Kat Kitzman, Partner Marketing Manager for FloQast, for all of her assistance in putting together today's presentation. On behalf of our team assembled here today, I'd like to welcome you. All right, my spiel is over and we are ready to dive in. It's my sincere pleasure to introduce you to my friend and BSP partner, Thomas Grigley. Thomas has a wealth of experience supporting finance and accounting professionals on their journey to improve process and streamline operations. We are very excited to officially launch our partnership with FloQast with this first webinar of 2021. And with that, Thomas, I'm going to hand the presentation on over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Craig. One moment while I just get my screen shared and take care of housekeeping. All righty.
Excellent. We're seeing your screen and we're ready to go.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much for the opportunity today, Craig. Really appreciate being here and excited to introduce FloQast and some best practices around the month-end close to Business Solution Partners clients. So just in case we haven't met before, again, my name is Thomas Grigley and I run the channel at FloQast. So if you aren't familiar with FloQast, we provide accounting workflow automation software that was actually built by accountants who lived the problem of the month-end close to help accounting teams work smarter and not harder. Now, although accounting automation software is, admittedly a broad umbrella, today we'll be focusing in on the month-end close, and I'll be sharing best practices that I've picked up along the way. And on that note, a little bit about myself. I've been with FloQast for almost 4 years now, and the growth that we've experienced has been nothing short of exponential. When I started, we had under 100 clients, and I was the 30th employee. We're now over 200 employees and over 1,100 clients. And in 2020, FloQast was actually awarded NetSuite's SDN Partner of the Year. And during this time, we upped our proportion of NetSuite clients to over 40%. So as a Built for NetSuite Suite App Developer Network Partner of the Year, we've become the leading provider of month-end close management software to the ecosystem. And I'm excited to show you more about this and explain why during today's presentation. During this time period of growth, I've actually helped over 500 controllers and CFOs take a look at their month-end close process and audit to help them determine whether or not FloQast can help. So I'm hoping that my experience and the knowledge I've gained can be beneficial to you today. Now, as a leading provider of financial close software in the mid-market, NetSuite companies like ZoomInfo, Lyft, Okta, Twilio, the Golden State Warriors, and so many others leverage FloQast to close faster and more accurately. Something that's worth noting, though, and that I hope you see today, is also how FloQast can enable remote work and drive efficiency in the audit process as well. This can come in the form of reduced audit fees or just mitigating audit fee increases. And the last thing to note is during today's session, my goal is to give you tangible advice that can help you improve the closing audit, whether you use FloQast or not. So I will provide you a little insight into how FloQast implements some of these best practices that I review today. But the whole point is that you leave this session with some tangible advice, right, that you can put into practice and begin to just get some value from when your accounting team, whether or not you're using FloQast. It is also worth mentioning, before I do move on, that because of our partnership with BSP, FloQast is actually offering free implementations to webinar attendees today. So this is an average savings of $6,000 to $20,000. And to qualify, it's just a simple email to Craig, right? So ccook@bspny.com. If what we hear today seems informative and seems like it could be interesting to you, I highly recommend reaching out to him, and we can just determine if there's anything we can do to help you further. But moving right along, with the goal of our session being to facilitate thought and discussion around the month-end close and how we can make remote month-end processes more efficient, we thought it was necessary to first define the close so we can identify the processes and problem areas. So the close is a process that includes disparate systems and team members, and the end goal is to book all entries and adjustments and verify the accuracy of financials in your ERP, right? To ensure that there's accurate reporting and then a blemish-free audit. So making sure that what's in your GL or in NetSuite is a true representation of the company's financial health. Now, there's a lot of processes that need to happen here, like consolidations, adjusting journal entries, reconciliations, and fire drills naturally occur. And this results to stress levels increasing for the accounting team. Transparently, life events are often missed because of long work days. And it's the accountants who end up suffering. It's the controllers, the accounting managers, the assistant controllers that end up suffering. So why is the month-end close one of the most burdensome parts of an accountant's job? Under normal circumstances, my response to this is the disparate nature of the systems and people that need to work together and communicate to achieve an end goal. However, in this new normal that we're working through, these problems have really only been exacerbated by remote work. So now that we've defined the purpose of the month-end close and, at a high level, some of the activities involved, we can dive a layer deeper to begin addressing the problems that occur. At FloQast, we look at all companies as having three common but decentralized components of the close. And these being month-end workflow, or your list of procedures, reconciliations, right, to verify a trial balance, and then supporting documentation to verify, how you came up with these numbers. So this presentation will actually be broken up into these three sections. And the structure of each section will be, tangible first steps that can be taken, inherent challenges that'll still exist, and then how FloQast can kind of take these best practices to the next level. So to start off our first section, I wanted just to call attention to some data. When we did a survey with Dimensional Research to mid-market accounting teams, it was super interesting for us to find out that 71% of accounting teams did not document their month-end close procedures. So we refer to this as tribal knowledge, and this means they didn't have prepare and reviewers tasks broken out. Each team member of the accounting team just kind of knew what they needed to do and, got it done more or less. And transparently, this might be able to work for a 1 or 2 person accounting team with a couple reconciliations and maybe one entity. But as you grow, this causes issues. As you become a 4, 5, 6 person accounting team, as you have 30, 40, 50 plus reconciliations to do a month, or multiple entities, or receive funding, or trying to get ready to go public or get new auditors, this will no longer suffice. So when it comes to managing month-end workflow, it's super important First, to have a well-documented process in place. Without this, remote work can be virtually impossible to manage. So to provide a tangible first step that we hope your team finds valuable, our partnership actually worked together to create a best practices checklist template that will provide as follow-up. Our suggestion is if you don't have a checklist, use this as a starting point. If you do, but each team member has their own or you're looking to improve the checklist, we suggest comparing our template with your checklist and create a consolidated month-end checklist. So this means you have a team meeting and get each person to either bring their checklist or spend some time documenting the tasks they're actually doing. Uh, and really, the more prescriptive you can be here, the better. And that's a common theme throughout this presentation. We also find that, usually certain employees, when thinking of this checklist, will own accounts or process areas. And this tends to be the most effective way to create specialization and build out this checklist in the workflow. And, although specialization is important, one of the biggest factors in consolidating all individual checklists into one is the ability to view cause and effect, right? A staff accountant is no longer siloed into tasks that they need to perform. Rather, they see how their specific process affects the entire close. And I think that's an important thing for career progression and for employee satisfaction as well. Because I've seen many instances where employees just do tasks to do them and don't consider what effect they have. And it's not creating the an ideal work environment. And it's knowledge of the bigger picture is really how you can leverage the minds of your entire accounting team to become more efficient, right? If everyone has a better understanding of the process as a whole, then you have more minds thinking about how to make improvements. And this can be a powerful first step, but we realize every company's close can be a bit different. And a question you might be asking yourself is, what tasks actually go into a checklist? And to answer this question, I actually interviewed Okta, a predominant NetSuite team, their former accounting manager, and asked her this. And she made it a point to clarify that her team really ended up documenting everything they did within their month-end close checklist. Not only a list of recurring journal entries, but also a list of emailing someone in HR or a different department in sales, because something so easy can be forgotten. So again, as prescriptive as possible, so that if someone is out or there is turnover, the next person can literally jump right in. And also, once you have all of your tasks documented, you can then take inventory of your procedures and begin making policy tweaks. I think this might be the most valuable tidbit of information we have today, is the fact that when you do document all month-end close tasks, you can take inventory of the process itself and then make those policy tweaks. On this note, we encourage you to set up recurring journal entries. And if you are having problems doing that, I know that Craig and David and the BSP team can definitely help there. We also encourage a team to look at billing, right? Maybe you have a billing cutoff. Maybe if you have a fiscal month, it's billings finalized the Thursday before you close, right? This is a policy tweak that can make a huge difference. Or maybe you book depreciation and amortization, the following month from when it actually happened, so that you can book it sooner. So like for fixed assets and prepaids. In a cutoff on AP. So these slight policy tweaks can allow you to begin to be proactive and do pre-close procedures, and over time make drastic efficiency gains. Now, although creating a centralized Excel checklist and thinking about who's doing what and when is a great first step, the reality is Excel wasn't made for tracking workflow, and there are shortcomings that cause inefficiencies. So for example, if your team is spread out all over the country or working from home, something as simple as a status update can take way too much time and effort. More often than not, there is a lot of back and forth, right? If you happen to have team members in different time zones, this problem again is only exacerbated. So the only way to attempt to identify bottlenecks and trends in this environment is by having frequent status update meetings. Even then, though, it's hard to get to the root cause, and these can be very time consuming. Another shortcoming with Excel is you're also depending on people using the checklist and complying with it. This leads to controllers. Controllers to be tracking people down just to simply find out what happened. Um, you also can't have multiple people in an Excel file at the same time, and changes don't always get saved. Um, and people can also kind of write in their initials and write in a time and date stamp, and the reality is that's not the best controls for to have in place. And on this note, last thing I'll highlight is when you don't have prepare and reviewer sign-offs that trigger alerts, you can't really review in real time, right? More often than not, you need to wait until the end of the close, collect all these checklists if you have multiple ones, and review notes, and then spend days reviewing work and gathering emails. And hopefully you're organized enough to save all this information in an organized manner. So creating and documenting workflow can be a great first step, but obviously using Excel for workflow just isn't ideal transparently. So, to really kind of bring the workflow portion full circle today and wrap up this section, we've identified a few tangible initial steps that accounting teams can focus on. Uh, but, managing workflow in Excel or Google Sheets and email change isn't easy. So a major value add FloQast brings to accounting teams is our workflow capabilities, right? We're able to take your stagnant Excel checklist and turn it into an interactive workflow tool that provides complete visibility to all team members involved in the close. This checklist includes real-time prepare and reviewer sign-offs with time and date stamps, the ability to document qualitative review or any back and forth communication between teams members with review notes or links to reports. And by having one place to manage month-end workflow, team members and process owners can filter by things like what should I do next? What's late? What's ready for review? And this eliminates the need for daily status update meetings, long email threads and messages and chat apps, right? And helps accountants use their time more efficiently. And I think with this in mind, I alluded to how FloQast is helping accounting teams and NetSuite transition to remote work. I'll draw your eyes to the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, where the accounting manager at Zoom, the flagship company of remote work, actually credits FloQast with allowing her team to transition to working from home. And a big reason for this is just the way that we approach workflow and centralize all the key components of the month-end close in one command center for the entire process. Now, for the second component of our discussion, reconciliations. To start off, I did promise tangible takeaways. So the second best practice template that we will be providing you is our best practice reconciliation templates. So we'll have a best practice month-end checklist template and also reconciliation templates as well. And to qualify for these or to receive these, you just need to simply email Craig Cook at bspny.com or David. And they'll loop me in and we'll get you taken care of to have these takeaways. So our first piece of tangible advice, aside from giving you guys some reconciliation templates, to make reconciliations less of a burden, is creating standard operating procedures, or SOPs, you might hear me refer to them as, for each account reconciliation. So again, in my interview with Okta's former accounting manager, she referenced that she had front pages for each reconciliation. And on those pages, it explicitly wrote out, what the preparer does and what the reviewer does. And what this did was it helped her streamline the reconciliation process and ensure that it was done accurately. And it also allowed for consistency across all processes. So you might be asking yourself for examples, right? An example of an SOP was one that spelled out how to actually pull data and run a specific report in NetSuite, right? So having just each task, and also things as explicit as, change the date in cell B9, or make sure the formulas in column F in the Excel reconciliation were correct. Every little task. They also had a list of exceptions or reconciling items that were common on the front pages. And This is important because the whole purpose for a rec in general is answering, all right, I have the data from NetSuite, the GL data. Now, what's my source data? And from there, you just need to lay out the process of how you're getting that source data. And once you have the reconciliations created and accounts identified that you'll reconcile, you want to identify a priority. That's another really important part to the reconciliation process. So we recommend performing risk assessments for each reconciliation, right? And this can involve looking at materiality, right? Maybe there's certain accounts that's high in transactions, or maybe it's low in materiality, but it's low in transactions. There's some subjectivity because certain accounts are just going to mean more to your company than they might to another company. Again, I think the takeaway is that by thinking through your reconciliation process and documenting the work being done, you can then take inventory of the process and begin to make policy tweaks that allow you to drive efficiency. And although these are great first steps, we do recognize that reconciliations are burdensome, right? I think the root cause for a lot of problems in the reconciliation process comes back to needing to compare data from different systems. So when it comes to FloQast and how we actually help out here, what you're looking at is some basic product infrastructure. So I think this section should actually make it clear that our founders created a simple yet significant application that accountants can easily use and adopt. Um, and what you see here is this architectural diagram that outlines the integration points between FloQast and NetSuite on one side, and FloQast and Excel and cloud storage on the other side. So you can think of FloQast as a bridge connecting these disparate systems to compare data, right? On the NetSuite side of the equation, you have our direct API pulling and trial balance data in real time. With FloQast being a built for NetSuite verified suite app, this integration is turnkey, and it's a major reason our setup only takes about 3 to 6 weeks, which only entails about 5 to 10 hours of an accountant's time, one accountant. And honestly, the integration portion is literally completed during a 15 to 30-minute conversation. And once this API is turned on, we'll simply be pinging that trial balance report, refreshing it, and pulling in up-to-date numbers in real time. We'll then compare this trial balance or these trial balance numbers with ending balances from Excel reconciliations that they need to tie out to. This is made possible from our integration with the 5 most predominant cloud storage providers, being Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, Box.com, Dropbox, and Ignite. So without even having to open up the Excel file, we will parse through your cloud storage and into the Excel file and pull those ending balances. And I think this is an important part, is the fact that FloQast actually integrates with native Excel. This was done because as accountants, our founders recognized that for a majority of reconciliations, Excel is the best tool for accountants to easily leverage. In coming slides, I'll dive into how FloQast can also be used to perform reconciliations. But as accountants, we understand that Excel isn't going anywhere. And there are still going to be some reconciliations where Excel is needed. And our integration accommodates this to automate the trial balance tie-out portion of the rec process, which is nice because it just means that, across all entities and all accounts, the way you're reconciling today, can be continued to use. And with one click of a button, you can see the latest numbers so that you have assurance that all accounts are tying out. And just like our checklist, there are prepare and reviewer sign-offs with time and date stamps, the ability to leave review notes, and importantly, a materiality threshold. And this means that if an account goes out of balance after a sign-off occurs, right, it was tying out and then a journal entry was made, knocks it out of balance, your team is made aware in real time. And this eliminates that occurrence of handing over the wrong version of the trial balance to auditors and has been a significant return on investment and value add to our clients who are audited. Now, aside from trial balance tie-outs, the second most burdensome portion of the rec process that FloQast helps with is reconciling transactions for high volume of accounts. Now, I think what's important to explain here is that FloQast can perform matching or the reconciling of transactions for any two data sets. So it's not just bank accounts or cash accounts, but it can be credit cards, intercompany accounts, clearing accounts, whatever it might be. Now, FloQast AutoRec can help automate the process of reconciling transactions. And what will happen is we'll actually upload these two sets of transaction data with our proprietary algorithm. We'll reconcile usually about 80 to 90% of these matches. And this includes one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, and many-to-many matches. And then from there, accounting team members will have an easy-to-use interface that allows them to filter through two sets of data on one page. And this is significant because it's replacing the process of copy pasting two sets of data in Excel, manually color coding or creating a VLOOKUP to compare these two transaction sets on one Excel page. And it's nice because with FloQast AutoRec, you actually don't have to create rules or spend a long time setting it up. It's ready to go out of the box because our algorithm uses reference fields and a bit of AI to reconcile transactions for you. And once we reconcile the vast majority of these matches, the team's going to be able to just take a quick look, filter two sets of data on one page, make the rest of the matches, and our deliverable is actually the reconciliation. So it'll be a nice little export. And you can see that, this can be very valuable for, if you have hundreds of transactions that you need to match, all the way up to hundreds of thousands of transactions that need to be matched. This is a process that, someone on the accounting team is responsible for, and it can be a really big time suck and quite frankly, just not the most fun portion of someone's job. Now, lastly, on the reconciliations piece, FloQast recently released our most powerful automation tool yet within AutoRec, and it's our amortization module. And FloQast amortization automates and standardizes the reconciliation for prepaid expenses so that accounting teams can focus on more value-add activities rather than manipulating data in Excel. So even if your ERP in NetSuite is doing an entire prepaid calculation for you, this can be valuable because accounting usually has to review everything that's hitting prepaids to ensure the monthly expense is correct. And they do this by maintaining Excel waterfall schedule or roll forward reconciliation. And FloQast's prepaids module will be able to completely remove the tracking of prepaids in Excel. So we will automatically create the monthly roll forward and amortization waterfall schedule. If you're not using your ERP's amortization module, FloQast will actually automate the process of calculating the journal entry that needs to be made. And if NetSuite is automating this journal entry, FloQast will just automate the reconciliation that verifies the accuracy of the journal entry. So it could be valuable either way, and it's going to be unique to each team of what's the best way to go is. But one nice thing about FloQast Prepaids module that differentiates it is the ability to make inline edits to an amortization that will immediately be reflected in the amortization waterfall schedule. So meaning the calculations will update if you need to kind of make an edit for something that hit. But we're running up on time, so moving right along here. The third part of this presentation is really around folder structure and file storage. So as I mentioned, at FloQast, we integrate with 5 main cloud storage providers like Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, Box.com, Dropbox, and Ignite. And leveraging cloud storage has its benefits that we'll get into. But whether you're currently on the cloud or an internal network shared drive, we believe organizing your folder structure by entity, year, month, and accounting process is a really, really powerful and great first step. So that's the tangible takeaway for file storage in this third section of the presentation today. Because one of the biggest challenges for accounting teams who have multiple people working on the close is simply finding information they need to complete their work. So whether it be a controller who is reviewing work for multiple team members across multiple entities and multiple processes, or a staff accountant, trying to pick up where a colleague left off, I'd say that although this isn't the end-all be-all solution to getting over this hurdle, Organizing and standardizing the way that you save your work in a way that aligns with your processes is step one in making remote work possible. An important tip here is to assign someone on the team to roll this forward every month, this folder structure forward every month. So it's an extra step, but you'll be thankful you did it when the audit comes around, or just when you need to find something from a prior period. Organization techniques like this can significantly help with version control as well. So, to wrap up this slide particularly, getting an organized folder structure by entity, year, month, and process, where then you save your recs and support in each process, and then a systematic approach to rolling that forward every single month for the next month's close process go a really, really long way, and it's definitely something that we highly encourage. But to put the pieces together, FloQast's integration with cloud storage providers, what we're essentially doing is linking your folder structure with checklists, right? So workflow, with reconciliations, and then with all your supporting documentation. So what you see in front of you right now is the Close the Books tab within FloQast. And on the left-hand side, you'll notice we're actually pulling in or mirroring your folder structure, however you have it organized. And this is where our integration with cloud storage really shows itself. So in this example right here, in this screenshot, we're in accrued expenses within the corporate entity. And in March 2020, closing the books for March, and you'll see tasks that are pertaining to accrued expenses. You'll see the supporting documentation that's saved in the cloud storage pertaining to accrued expenses. And then you'll see all the reconciliations pertaining to accrued expenses in the month of March. This is a great view for accountants assigned to a particular process, but there are also central views that can, where you can filter across the entire checklist, so across all processes, or all reconciliations across the entire company, all entities, all accounts, and just see quickly, okay, what do I need to do next? What's ready for review? What's reconciling or what's unreconciled? And the way you can slice and dice the information is really limitless. And what's really nice about this particular Close the Books tab is the fact that FloQast is actually automatically going to roll forward that structure, the tasks, the documents, and the recs each month. So you get that task that's a best practice actually gets taken off somebody's plate, and will help create that structured, repeatable process that then allows the controller and process owners to take inventory of what's happening and then implement policy tweaks to further improve the close and shorten the number of days it's taking. I think that's the big takeaway of the value add that FloQast brings is, aside from the automation around reconciliations and some of the automation we bring around certain tasks, and it's the fact that we're maintaining the process and giving a process owner and the accounting team all the information they need in one place so that they can take inventory of the process and begin to identify bottlenecks that are happening, and then make adjustments and improvements from there. Now, with that, we're up to 30 minutes. I really appreciate the opportunity to present today. What you see here is a bunch of NetSuite clients of FloQast that we've been able to perform tremendous value add for. So if you are looking to improve the month-end close and audit, I highly suggest reaching out to Craig, and he'll link you up with me. We'll be able to provide you our best practice month-end close checklist. We'll also be able to provide you our best practice reconciliation templates. And again, for attending this webinar and being a business solutions partner client in Q1 of 2021, we'll actually be offering free FloQast implementations, which is an average savings of $6,000 to $20,000. So email Craig and he'll link you up with myself. And I hope you guys all got some value from today's presentation. Thank you so much for the time.
Hey, Thomas, thanks so much. I really enjoy these types of presentations from our partners that add value to our audience. It's not just about, hey, we've got a great solution for you, which you do. And I'm really happy to be representing FloQast with BSP. But thank you so much for these best practices, because I think these are tips and tricks that anybody can follow to streamline their period and close process. All right, so I'm just going to start my video. I'm going to wave hi to everybody. I should probably open my little camera lens there. And Thomas, if you want to just stop sharing your screen, we're going to close it up here. If any of our participants today have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or use the Q&A panel. I can even open up the floor and give you audio access if you do have a question for myself or for Thomas today. On behalf of everybody at BSP, thanks for joining us. We're really happy to put these educational webinars together and look forward to seeing you on our next one. And don't forget, we've got some upcoming NetSuite user groups, and keep in touch with us by subscribing to our blog. And if you want to learn more about FloQast, just hit me up and we will be sure to make you aware of all of its benefits to your business. With that, I think we're going to end our conversation today and look forward to seeing you all again in the near future. Bye-bye.